Welcome back. Now, some say it's no surprise ratings agency Moody's finally downgraded South Africa to sub-investment grade, or junk status as we call it. The demotion to junk may have been a long time coming, and it's placed Moody's in line with other agencies. But last week, Fitch went a step further and downgraded the country again. But could South Africa go from junk status to comeback kid? Gina Schoeman, economist at Citibank, joins us now via Skype. Gina, thank you so much for the time. Look, it's certainly a very difficult one because we don't seem to have the plans in place. But could we go from junk status to comeback kid?
Well, it is quite a reach. So in considering where we are at the moment when it comes to the rating agency's standing point, we are only one notch into sub-investment grade with Moody's.
Yeah.
S&P has a split rating, but essentially it means we're one notch on one of the ratings and two notches in on one of their other ratings. Fitch, however, by downgrading us just last week, has taken us two notches into junk.
Yeah.
Now, effectively, it means you need two upgrades from the likes of Fitch in order to get back to investment grade status. And the whole comeback kid element is really saying that what could South Africa do in order to establish itself at the very top of sub-investment grade? So that's effectively just moving stable outlooks across the likes of Moody's, across the likes of S&P, and then maybe getting one upgrade from Fitch. Now, the reason I say that's quite a reach is because this is an economy that has struggled to make any serious inroads in terms of a better or improved, stronger economic growth outlook over the last decade. And for sure, what we would need to do if we wanted to establish ourselves as this comeback kid, in other words, opportunistic in that we could eventually move into the investment grade ratings again, we would essentially have to reverse the things that got us downgraded to begin with. And that would be getting onto a GDP growth outlook path, the fiscal concerns such as the public sector wage bill, and of course the burden of state-owned enterprises on both the economy and of course on fiscal policy, and a lot of that sits with Eskom. So if we're able to find the political support within this economy to do those things, well then yes, it's not so much a reach. But our track so far suggests that we might very well be moving further deeper into junk status at this point.
Yeah. Somebody might ask then where the bottom is in a time like this, and perhaps in terms of these ratings downgrades, how far down do we go considering our current trajectory? And because, as you say, our track record isn't that great, do we have a chance?
Well, there's always a chance. It just comes down to the political will of taking decisions that will put you into the type of a macroeconomic outlook that would be able to justify a heightened or higher credit rating from these sovereign rating agencies. How deep it could go, well, I guess that's anyone's guess. I mean, what would South Africa look like on a 3 to 5 year basis? We're currently in a crisis, and that means the economy is likely to contract around 4% this year, maybe more, maybe less. You know, these things are very fluid and in flux at the moment. Our budget deficit to GDP ratio could easily be at 10% in double digits.
Sure.
And then, of course, your debt to GDP ratio just continues to climb higher and higher.
Yeah.
And the problem here is that it creates higher borrowing costs for government.
Yeah.
And then the more you spend on those costs, well, the less you can spend on other things that you sorely need in a country that has massive amounts of inequality, massive amounts of public, basic needs in public, like education, like health,
Sure.
and etc. So at the moment, we are worried that S&P on the 29th of May may well take South Africa one notch down into junk territory, just as Fitch did. And that would mean that it wouldn't be surprising to see Moody's follow.
Yeah.
To give you a sense, this is more or less 2 or 3 notches in. It kind of matches where South Africa is sitting on an equilibrium level at the moment. The likes of Argentina, who went into serious, almost economic meltdown, are 7 to 8 notches into junk. So we're not there yet. That seems a very far away prospect for South Africa, but we think that it used to be.
Yeah. Gina, how much could we lose then? Of course, we get the re-rating done by Citibank then, of course, of the World Government Bond Index at the end of this month. Any estimations with how much could really escape South Africa if it hasn't already?
Well, a couple of clarification points here. It's no longer the City World Government Bond Index. It's now branded by FTSE. And FTSE actually put out a notification about 2 weeks ago stating that because of the market volatility being seen around the world at the moment, rebalancing of this World Government Bond Index was actually not going to take place at the end of March. And this means that we'll only exit this WGBI at the end of April. The thing about this World Government Bond Index is that South Africa should, in an isolated condition, lose about 6.6 billion US dollars when it exits the WGBI. However, people have largely priced in, been expecting that Moody's would downgrade it if South Africa would exit the WGBI. So come the end of April, of course, whatever happens between now and the end of this month, globally and locally, would come into play on how much outflows we actually see. But at this point, we think it's far smaller because a lot of this has been expected and therefore priced in.
Yeah, fantastic. Gina, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Stay safe then as well, and hope to chat to you soon. Gina Schoeman, economist then at Citibank, joining us as we unpack whether South Africa can come back from that downgrade set, of course, not so long ago by Moody's, and then just last week, Friday, by Fitch as well. All right.